Peter Griffin stands up in a company boardroom and his tie is suddenly a fish. The scene cuts. In a split second we're watching a 1920s strongman wrestle a giant lobster on a pier. Nobody in the meeting reacts. The joke lands and the main plot, whatever it was, keeps rolling. It feels like chaos, like the writers threw darts at a board of weird images. But that lobster brawl isn't a random neuron firing. It arrives at the exact moment Peter's humiliation peaks. The gag punctures the tension, then vanishes. That's classical structure hiding in plain sight. A cutaway gag works because the main story already set an emotional charge. Peter's buffoonery in the office builds a tiny pressure. You feel it. The writers know you feel it. The lobster fight doesn't just interrupt that pressure, it contrasts it, drains it, and returns you to the story a half beat before it becomes unbearable. This is the same rhythm you'd find in a Greek chorus. Something big looms, the chorus steps in with a lyric, then you face the thing head on. Family Guy just swapped the chorus for a vaudeville act. The scaffolding is invisible until you look for it. Take the episode where Stewie's birthday party spirals into a hostage situation. Every fifth gag, usually something with Quagmire and a jet ski or Peter recalling a childhood incident with a tractor beam, spikes right before a shift in the hostage room's mood. The cutaway isn't filler. It's a joint in the architecture. Without those well-timed interruptions, the plot's rising dread would curdle into monotony. With them, you write a carefully engineered waveform. What we call timing in comedy is structure doing its quietest work. The structure doesn't care about genre. It doesn't care if the dressing is a Shakespearean tragedy or a man slipping on a banana peel in a chicken fight. It only needs a series of emotional beats arranged so one leads unavoidably to the next. The cutaway is just an extreme case, a proof that even when a show appears to reject coherence, it clings to the oldest storytelling bones we have. Which raises a stranger question. If a throwaway gag owes its life to the same narrative skeleton that supports the Odyssey, how much of our taste for any story is just a craving for that hidden order? The Springfield Town Hall meeting isn't just a funny scene. It's a pressure cooker for information. Marge sits in the front row, her hands folded in the way that means she's the only adult in the room. Homer's drooling over a free pen. Mayor Quimby's sweating through another mismanaged budget. The pavement's crumbling. The water supply tastes like burnt tires. The town's broken and everyone knows it. But nobody's saying it out loud. Instead, the writers stuff that exposition into a gag parade. One citizen shouts about a pothole. A quick cut shows a Volkswagen sinking into the earth like a submarine. Another demands better schools. The camera pans to a second grader soldering a circuit board that's actively catching fire. Every joke delivers a fact. The infrastructure's shot. Public trust is dead. Springfield's desperate for a savior. That's the ordinary world, fully constructed in 90 seconds of rapid-fire comedy. You don't notice you're being briefed because you're too busy laughing at the kid with the safety goggles. But the foundation's poured, and it's rock solid. Then the doors swing open and the room quiets. Lyle Landley slides down the aisle like he's already been elected. His shoes gleam. His straw hat sits at a mathematical angle. He's not from here, and he knows you know it. He climbs the stage and taps the microphone. His song begins. A conman singing his pitch isn't a new trick, but watch how the writers use it. The upbeat melody masks a monologue that would paralyze any drama. Landley lists his resume. He sold monorails to Brockway, Ogdenville, and North Haverbrook. We see a quick flash of each town, shiny and prosperous now, waving from their modern stations. The images are lies, but they're sunny lies. The song's rhythm pushes past your skepticism. By the final note, the town hall transforms. Adults are weeping. Children are waving flags. Homer is improbably appointed conductor. The ordinary world didn't just encounter a problem. It swallowed the hook whole. The inciting incident isn't the monorail proposal. It's the moment Springfield's collective brain short-circuits. Landley didn't trick them. They tricked themselves. He just gave them permission. The dramatic question hovers in the confetti-filled air. Will this town ever realize they've been duped? Marge holds the music. She doesn't sing. She's already asking the question nobody else can hear. The deal gave Fry exactly what he wanted. Fingers that could play a holophonor. Fingers that could finally make Leela see him. He flexed the robot devil's hands over the keys, the brass joints clicking like tiny robotic insects. Every note he'd ever wanted to play spilled out in a perfect cascade of light and sound. He'd bypassed his own clumsy hands to win Leela, but the method came with a reclamation clause he hadn't read past the fine print. She sat in the audience, one eye wide, her mouth just slightly open. For the first time, Fry held her attention without pratfalls or pickup lines. The deal worked. The cost would arrive later. Each performance after that tightened the grip of the story. Fry wrote an opera about Leela's bike, her childhood, the way she punched a mascot at a meatball restaurant. He turned inside jokes into arias. The robot hands translated his feelings literally, and the comedy ballooned because Fry's feelings were, at their core, deeply literal. Love meant listing things he liked about her, in order, set to an arpeggio. Leela laughed, touched his arm, and every laugh bound Fry further to hands that weren't his. Then the midpoint hit like a stage light crashing. Backstage, the robot devil materialized, smoke curling from his empty wrists. He just realized that the deal they'd signed in Hell's cubicle had a physical component. He now wore Fry's hands, the same hands that couldn't hold a pencil without breaking it. The devil's own virtuoso fingers were jerking off key across town in a delivery boy's pockets. The reversal was instant and architectural. The antagonist didn't just want the deal undone. He needed the hands back, and Fry needed them to keep Leela. Two needs ran head-on, and every solution the robot devil proposed was worse than the last. He'd grant Fry one last holophonor opera to win Leela forever, but if she didn't understand his true feelings by the final note, the hands returned to their original owner. The obstacle stacked. Fry had to express his love perfectly, but the instrument was rigged to speak literal truth, and Fry's truth was messy. The comedy tightened as the tension spiked. Fry and the robot devil rattled through rapid-fire negotiations while Leela waited in the wings, hearing only the fragments of a deal she didn't understand. The robot devil added clauses like a lawyer possessed. Fry's face cycled through hope and then panic, settling into the particular look of a man who just agreed to sing his own heart in front of an audience. The holophonor can only play what you actually feel, not what you intend to say, and that gap, between intention and the raw signal of the nerves, was where every joke would soon land. The opera stood ready, the house lights dimmed, and Fry's borrowed fingers hovered above the keys, carrying a confession they might twist on impact. What happens when the only tool that can save you is hardwired to tell a truth you haven't admitted to yourself? The vault door seals with a hydraulic hiss. Brian and Stewie sit in total darkness, their breathing the only sound. Family Guy's writers locked them here for a reason. Not for gags, but to force the kind of raw talk that only happens when characters hit rock bottom. Stewie admits he's terrified of being alone. Brian confesses he's wasted his potential. The fluorescent lights hum above them, making their shadows stretch across the metal walls like prison bars. Even in a show known for cutaway jokes and random humor, this episode proves you can't skip the crisis. The vault becomes a pressure cooker for truth. When Stewie finally whispers, "I love you," to Brian, it lands because we've seen them stripped bare first. But what happens when the lights come back on? The houseboat rocks violently as Sideshow Bob steps on the final rake. His scream echoes across the water, but this time, the audience isn't laughing at the pain. They're laughing at the inevitability. The Simpsons' Cape Fear spends 20 minutes building to this moment, stacking rakes like dominoes until the payoff becomes mathematical. Every setup demands a punchline, but the genius is in how the episode plays with timing. Bob should have died 5 rakes ago. The tension breaks when he doesn't. Bart's survival isn't the victory. The real win is seeing the structure itself become the joke. When the credits roll on that houseboat drifting into the sunset, we're not just relieved the villain's gone. We're satisfied because the story followed through on every promise it made. But what happens when a story breaks its promises on purpose? In a Colorado classroom, Cartman stands at the whiteboard, marker squeaking. He's not telling the joke. He's diagramming it. Fish sticks becomes a mathematical proof, complete with variables and operators. The punchline is never the words you hear. It's the structure you suddenly recognize. That recognition hits harder than any rimshot. South Park spent 24 minutes building that joke to the exact specifications of a classic setup-payoff cycle. Every beat lands because Trey Parker and Matt Stone treat narrative form like a musical scale. You learn the scale so you can play the wrong note at the right time. The wrong note isn't a mistake. It's the point. The discipline is what makes the subversion readable. Rick and Morty's Vat of Acid episode doesn't ignore Joseph Campbell. It mimics Campbell right in front of you. Rick forces Morty into a heroic ordeal, complete with a fake mentor, a fake refusal of the call, and a fake resurrection. The comedy isn't that the structure exists. It's that Rick uses it like a theater prop, visibly assembling the pieces as you go. You laugh because you see both the blueprint and the man holding it. The Simpsons did this decades earlier with Sideshow Bob and those rakes. The previous chapter mapped out the payoff, but look closer at the setup. The rakes don't appear randomly. The episode plants each one like a comedian setting up a callback. The first rake gets a reaction. The second gets a bigger reaction. By the 10th, the audience isn't reacting to the rake. They're reacting to the pattern. The pattern is the joke. Classical structure isn't a cage. It's an amplifier. Satire that ignores the rulebook lands soft because the audience has no purchase. You need the straight line to make the squiggle funny. The blueprint isn't a constraint for the writer who understands it. It's a shared grammar the audience already speaks. You just have to start the conversation. Now when you hit play on an animated comedy, you're not a passive viewer anymore. You're tracking the machinery. The cold open sets a promise. The second act tightens a spring. The third act either releases it or lets it snap in your face. The storyteller who knows the blueprint can hand you a map and still surprise you at the destination. The question that remains isn't whether the structure works. It works every time, even when it fails. The question is what you'll build